Somewhere, in the high-security control room of the US Pacific Command, the screen went red for just 6 seconds. 6 seconds. That's how long it took to send ripples across the global defense architecture. The date? December 26th. The place? Chengdu, China. And what rose from that airbase that morning wasn't just metal and turbines. It was a message, a declaration, a shift, a threat. China wasn't testing a new aircraft. It was revealing a new era. The J-36, a beast the Pentagon never expected to fly so soon, had just broken cover. But this wasn't some low-resolution satellite leak or a grainy spy photo. It was a public spectacle, executed with chilling theatrical precision, in full daylight, in peacetime skies. Not one, but two futuristic aircraft lifted off in perfect synchronicity, one of them so large, so alien in form, that the global defense community collectively held its breath. For decades, America's air dominance has rested on secrets, black projects, and next-gen technologies no one else could touch. But today, the dragon isn't catching up. It's bearing fangs. And this thing? This J-36? It's scarier than we thought. At first glance, the J-36 didn't behave like a fighter jet. It glided. Massive. Low. Deliberate. No afterburner flare. No contrail giveaways. Just a low observable silhouette slicing through the cold morning air with mechanical confidence. Military analysts watching via high-altitude surveillance drones couldn't believe what they were seeing. This wasn't just a bigger J-20. This was something else. With its blended wing body, tailless design, and unorthodox 3-engine configuration, the J-36 shattered conventional wisdom. You don't build a fighter like this unless you're trying to do one thing: reinvent air combat. Why December 26th? That date isn't random. It's Mao Zedong's birthday, a national symbol in China of revolution, rise, and transformation. By choosing that date, the J-36 wasn't just introduced as a machine. It was unveiled as a political signal, a fusion of historical pride and technological maturity. A flag planted in the sky, a thunderclap to every military satellite and listening post from Guam to Alaska. This was Beijing saying, "We've arrived. Not behind, not beside, ahead." And the world heard it loud and clear. Here's what we now know. This aircraft is huge, over 23 meters long, with a wingspan rivaling heavy bombers. Its central body is cavernous, a flying arsenal, able to carry internal payloads previously unimaginable in stealth fighters. Forget wing-mounted missiles. The J-36's 7.5-meter weapons bay can swallow full-sized anti-ship missiles, long-range air-to-air killers, and possibly even hypersonic glide vehicles, all while staying invisible to radar. That's not a fighter, that's a hunter. And that's what makes this aircraft terrifying. It doesn't sacrifice stealth to carry power. Every bomb, every missile, hidden. Let's talk about those engines. 3. No other stealth fighter on Earth does this. Why? Because it's hard, it's heavy, it's expensive. But China just did it, and not to show off. Reason 1, power. The triple-engine configuration delivers enough thrust to sustain Mach 2.5, even fully loaded. That's not just fast, that's fast deep into contested airspace. Reason 2, redundancy. If one engine fails during a long-range sortie, no problem. The other two push on. Reason 3, energy surplus. In the age of electronic warfare, sensor fusion, and possibly directed energy weapons, this is the game changer. The J-36 can run high-power radar jammers, satellite spoofers, and even high-frequency EMP bursts without rationing its systems. It's not just a plane. It's a flying supercomputer, armed and aware. Old-school jets need afterburners to go supersonic. But afterburners are infrared fireworks, easy to detect, easy to target. The J-36? It's supercruises. That means it can fly supersonic without ever lighting up on heat sensors. Add in its IR suppressed exhaust geometry, and you're looking at an aircraft that's invisible to both radar and thermal tracking. You don't hear it. You don't see it. You just lose comms. And then things start exploding. This isn't stealth. This is specter mode. Most stealth fighters can fly about 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers before they need to refuel. The J-36? Estimates say up to 6,000 kilometers. Let that sink in. From Hainan Island, the J-36 could strike Guam, return, and still circle the South China Sea twice. From Tibet, it could fly over India's northern border, hit strategic targets, and loop back before breakfast. From mainland China, Hawaii isn't out of the question. Suddenly the safe zones aren't. There's a reason the J-36 has a side-by-side cockpit. That's bomber logic, not fighter tradition, but it's strategic. In high-intensity missions, one pilot flies and the other coordinates drones, satellites, and support aircraft. This aircraft isn't just part of a mission, it runs the mission. With AI-assisted targeting, real-time ISR feeds, and automated swarm management, the J-36 becomes a command brain in the sky. Imagine this: dozens of stealth drones, launched from hidden bases, controlled mid-flight using the J-36 as a live battlefield coordinator. Now imagine your defenses trying to find the J-36 while under constant coordinated attack from invisible enemies. That's not warfare. That's a technological ambush. Here's where things get nuclear, not literally, but strategically. US aircraft carriers have dominated oceans for 80 years. They're mobile cities, power projection machines. But they're also big, slow, and in 2025, visible. Enter the J-36. With its range, stealth, and internal anti-ship missiles, it becomes the ultimate carrier killer. Even the Aegis radar system, the gold standard in naval defense, might struggle to detect a squadron of J-36 flying low and silent. And when those YJ-21 or CJ-1000X hypersonic missiles emerge from stealth bays, you have seconds to react. By the time the first carrier detects them, it's already dead in the water. Let's zoom out. The J-36 isn't just a military leap. It's an industrial flex, a psychological weapon, a diplomatic message to the world. Beijing is showing that it doesn't need to buy tech. It builds tech. And more importantly, it's innovating. No longer the copycat, now the trendsetter. And that changes everything. Defense budgets worldwide will rise. European and American 6th-gen programs will accelerate. Japan and India will rethink their alliances. Because now, China has an ace on the board. And it's not bluffing. Let's be honest. We didn't expect to see this for another 5 years. The J-36 isn't just advanced, it's disruptive. It outpaces the F-22 in range and versatility. It overshadows the F-35 in payload and command control. And it preempts NGAD before it even rolls off the line. This is what happens when a rising power stops playing catch-up and starts playing offense. Now the only question is, are we ready for it? Because next time it flies, it might not be a demonstration. It might be deployment, if you want to stay ahead of the headlines. If you want to know what's really flying out there, and if you believe military dominance is being rewritten right now, hit that subscribe button. Like this video to help us reach more eyes. And drop your thoughts in the comments. Is the J-36 the aircraft that changes everything? Or just the beginning of something bigger? This is Arsenal Exposed, and we're just getting started. Now let's go deeper, because what we've seen so far might just be the tip of the spear. The J-36 isn't a one-off prototype, it's a platform. And in China's playbook, platforms evolve fast. There are already whispers in defense circles about a carrier-capable variant, a stealth jet this large, modified for electromagnetic catapult launches from China's Type 003 Fujian supercarrier. Folding wings, reinforced landing gear, dedicated anti-submarine modules. If true, that means China is preparing to operate the J-36, not just from the mainland, but from mobile bases in the South China Sea, the Indian Ocean, maybe even the Arctic. Think about what that means. Stealth jets flying off Chinese carriers, coordinated by skyborne AI, with reach deep into enemy territory. This isn't just a shift in air dominance, it's a complete reconfiguration of naval warfare. And it doesn't stop there. Reports from satellite tracking firms suggest a new construction zone at Chengdu Aerospace Complex. Not a regular hangar. This one is reinforced, shielded, and enormous. Military analysts believe it's a rapid assembly facility for the J-36. If that's confirmed, then China isn't just testing this jet, it's preparing to mass produce it. That's the game changer. Because stealth isn't just about design, it's about numbers. And for decades, America held the advantage because no one could build enough of these aircraft fast enough to matter. But if China cracks the production puzzle, if it figures out how to build a fleet of J-36s without sacrificing stealth quality or electronic reliability, then every defense calculation the West has made since the Cold War becomes obsolete overnight. Suddenly, it's not one ghost in the sky. It's dozens, swarming, coordinated, silent. That kind of force projection turns regional disputes into global chess matches. And right now, China is setting the board. Let's talk mission doctrine. Because the J-36 isn't built just for one role. It's a shapeshifter. In one mission, it's an air superiority fighter. In the next, a deep penetration stealth bomber. After that, a command node for unmanned swarm operations. Each of these roles used to require separate aircraft, separate pilots, separate bases. But not anymore. This one jet can do them all. That's what makes it terrifying for adversaries. You don't know what it's carrying. You don't know where it's going. You don't know what it's talking to. By the time you figure it out, it's already gone. The side-by-side cockpit arrangement suddenly makes perfect sense, because while one pilot navigates terrain, the other might be issuing commands to satellite-linked UCAVs flying in tandem at high altitude, or even controlling drone swarms that act as decoys, baiting enemy radars before the J-36 delivers the real strike. In short, this isn't a jet, it's an airborne hive mind, and that opens up new chapters of warfare no one is ready for. Now ask yourself this: how do you defend against a platform like this? You can't rely on radar. The J-36 is built to scatter and absorb radio waves. You can't rely on infrared. Its supercruise and thermal shielding defeat heat-based tracking. Even AWACS and early warning aircraft could be neutralized by onboard electronic attack pods. The J-36 is likely equipped with the latest in directed electronic jamming systems, powerful enough to blind radars, confuse missiles, or even spoof entire sensor networks. And what if it can do more? Some experts believe the J-36 is testing low-power microwave systems, which could disable ground-based radar systems from the edge of engagement range without ever firing a missile. Others speculate on the presence of defensive laser turrets capable of blinding optical tracking systems or intercepting incoming drones. None of this is science fiction anymore. If China integrates these systems into an aircraft that already breaks every known mold, then this platform becomes something else entirely. It becomes the first multi-domain stealth command jet, and that's a threat not just to enemy aircraft, but to satellites, missile defenses, and entire surveillance networks. The J-36 also signals something more long-term, a doctrinal shift in how China approaches war itself. For decades, Chinese air power has been reactive, playing defense, deterring threats, responding to regional instability. But the J-36 is built for initiative. It's a platform designed to strike first, strike deep, and leave no trace. It's built to support information denial, disinformation ops, and full-spectrum dominance in both electronic and kinetic warfare. This jet tells us that China no longer wants to match American air power. It wants to define the next rules of engagement. And if the West doesn't adapt quickly, it might find itself playing by rules written in Mandarin. Let's talk about NGAD, the US Next Generation Air Dominance Program. It's still classified, but we know it's meant to counter platforms exactly like the J-36. Advanced stealth, adaptive engines, manned-unmanned teaming. But NGAD is still in development. Flight prototypes are years away. Deployment is expected around 2030 or later. That leaves a dangerous gap. Right now, China has fielded a 6th-generation capable aircraft, at least 5 years before the US can do the same. This is the window, and Beijing knows it. That's why the J-36 was unveiled now, and not in a decade, because this is the moment where a strategic lead becomes possible. If NGAD falls behind schedule or gets bogged down in bureaucracy, China could lock in air dominance across multiple regions before the next American jet ever gets airborne. And there's one more piece to this puzzle: artificial intelligence. China's defense R&D has poured billions into neural net architecture for military applications. And the J-36 is the perfect testing bed for real-time AI combat logic. Imagine a jet that learns mid-mission, adjusts its flight path dynamically, modifies its radar signature based on enemy tracking, and executes evasive maneuvers before human pilots even sense danger. This is what autonomous evolution looks like in aerial warfare. Not replacing the pilot, but giving them a co-pilot that thinks at the speed of light. This is how the J-36 becomes more than hardware. It becomes the first smart fighter. And if that happens, then every battle becomes a software war, and every dogfight becomes a math equation. One jet becomes 1,000 simulations, running in parallel, predicting outcomes, and outmaneuvering threats before they even launch. That's the future, and it's already airborne. The West is watching, quietly, urgently, because if China can operationalize the J-36 and field it in meaningful numbers, then we're looking at a shift more profound than any aircraft since the F-117 first flew. Stealth won wars in the 1990s, but smart stealth, autonomous stealth, networked stealth, that wins wars in the 2030s. And the J-36? It's not a prototype, it's a warning. So what happens next? The answer may depend on who acts faster, who innovates smarter, and who's willing to admit that air dominance isn't just about planes anymore. It's about platforms, algorithms, and the will to fly into the future before your enemies even see you coming. This is Arsenal Exposed. Stay sharp, stay curious, and never blink, because the skies, they're no longer empty, they're strategic, they're intelligent, and they're watching back. If this made you think, If this made you question what you thought you knew about air power, hit that like button, subscribe for more declassified breakdowns, and share this with someone who still thinks air superiority is just about dogfights. It's not. It's about dominance before the enemy even knows the war has started. We'll see you in the next one. Keep watching the skies.